Inilah headline news pukul 7 waktu Indonesia Barat. Politikus Partai Demokrat Edie Bhaskoro Yudhoyono atau Ibas mempertanyakan pernyataan Presiden Jokowi terkait dugaan adanya aktor politik dalam aksi damai di Istana Negara 4 November lalu. Dalam kunjungan kerjanya di Trenggalek, Jawa Timur, Senin sore, Edie Bhaskoro Yudhoyono mengatakan pihaknya membutuhkan kejelasan terkait pandangan Presiden tersebut sehingga tidak menimbulkan kegaduhan politik nasional. Ibas mengaku, akibat pernyataan Presiden Jokowi muncul persepsi yang beragam di kalangan masyarakat. Bahkan banyak yang mengarahkan tudingan itu kepada Presiden ke-6 Republik Indonesia, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. Ibas meminta agar Jokowi tidak mengubah persepsi publik dan mencari siapa pelaku demonstrasi, namun tetap fokus pada aspirasi yang dibawa demonstran pada 4 November lalu.
Jadi sangat tidak mendasar ketika Pak SBY sudah tidak menjadi presiden, dianggap atau difitnahkan seolah-olah beliau sebagai aktor.
You're watching World News from Indonesia's Pioneer News Channel, Metro TV. I'm Sarah Wayne, and here are the main stories for today. Basuki Cahayapurnama is the first ethnic Chinese and Christian governing the capital of Indonesia. But his ethnic background and religion have been a source of controversy. With swing states' position across the U.S., Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are keeping up a frantic pace in the final days of their race. The Secretary General of Interpol used the opening of the organization's 85th General Assembly in Bali on Monday to call for more exchange of security information to fight terrorism. The three-day event, which is led by Interpol President Mireille Balestrazi, will focus on finding ways to combat international terrorism, organized crime, and cybercrime. 1,200 delegates from 167 countries are attending the event. The Indonesian Vice President Yusuf Kala spoke at the ceremony, saying the eradication of cybercrime requires global action.
Sudah saatnya bagi kita untuk memerangi kejahatan.
Basuki Cahayapurnama, known as Ahok, is the first ethnic Chinese and Christian governing the capital in the majority Muslim Indonesia. He's popular and is running for re-election in February, but his ethnic background and religion have been a source of controversy.
Tight security at the Presidential Palace in Jakarta. 3 weeks ago, thousands of protesters vented their anger against Jakarta's governor for questioning the meaning of a Quranic verse. During a recent election event, the capital's Christian governor, known as Ahok, had urged voters not to believe a statement by religious scholars that according to a verse in the Quran, Muslims can't be governed by a non-Muslim. A radical group, the Islamic Defenders Front, filed a case for blasphemy against the governor, and other groups have called for his arrest.
We don't want the president to just give us promises. We want to see Ahok arrested and put in prison. If not, then we won't back off, even if we have to stay the night, until we see with our own eyes that Ahok is arrested and put in prison.
Terrorism experts say groups like ISIL and al-Nusra are using the rally to call for violence in Indonesia. Photos have emerged of what's claimed to be al-Nusra-linked fighters in Syria, demanding Ahok's arrest. The governor of Jakarta is a crucial position in Indonesia. Ahok, who is leading the poll, says he's ready to face any legal process.
I think the most important for this country is law enforcement. So I will subdue to what the law wants.
You already apologized, but Muslim groups are still angry. What do you want to say to them?
Don't ask me. I never mean to blaspheme because I have my family, I have my mom is a Muslim. I have a brother is a Muslim. I live in a 93% Muslim in my hometown. And I also be a regent or mayor in my hometown for 93% Muslim.
With tension rising ahead of the governor's elections in February, There's not only fear of violence, but also over increasing anti-Chinese and anti-Christian sentiment.
Hundreds of Hong Kong protesters are angry at China's decision to intervene in a row over whether two pro-independence lawmakers should be barred from the city's legislature. Hong Kong's pro-Beijing government is trying to bar newly appointed pro-independence legislators Bag Yo-leung and Yao Wei-ching from their taking seats in the Legislative Council after they deliberately misread their oaths of office last month. As fears grow that Beijing is tightening its grip on the city, China announced that council members must swear allegiance to the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China. U.S. envoy for the anti-Islamic State coalition, Brett McGurk, has spoken that the current coalition operation to drive Islamic State out of Mosul is ahead of schedule, and the cooperation between Iraqi security forces and the Kurdish Peshmerga is totally unprecedented. VOA's Latika Hoke has the details.
Islamic State is putting up fierce resistance in Mosul, but there are concerns the militants who have held Iraq's major city for 2 years may try to flee to Raqqa.
We are not going to allow Daesh to have sanctuary anywhere else, either on that map or around the world. So today you may have seen the initial phase of operations to liberate Raqqa have begun.
Earlier Sunday, a coalition of Kurdish, Arab and Christian forces announced that the operation to liberate Raqqa, dubbed the Euphrates Rage, had officially begun.
The operation started on the night of Saturday, November 5, 2016, when the Euphrates Rage Operation Room was formed to lead the liberation campaign and to coordinate between all participating factions and fronts.
The Syrian anti-Islamic State force says its campaign is not linked to the fight for Mosul. A spokesman for the group expressed hope that neighboring Turkey will not interfere. The Turkish government is opposed to a Kurdish-led liberation of Raqqa, fearing that Kurds plan to carve an independent Kurdistan from parts of Syria, Turkey and Iraq. But the U.S. envoy emphasized the importance of local forces leading the liberation of the Syrian city.
When it comes to Raqqa, I want to make very clear, it is our principal priority throughout this campaign that the vanguard of the force that takes major territory from Daesh should be locally based forces. So when it comes to Raqqa, we want a force that ultimately liberates Raqqa that is primarily from the local area, Arabs from the area.
The United States says Kurdish fighters are most effective in fighting the militants both in Iraq and in Syria. McGurk also praised the cooperation of the Kurdish Peshmerga with the Iraqi army in the battle for Mosul.
Coming up on World News, robots, virtual reality, and of course 3D printing are being used to help Australian youngsters. $50,000 runners participated in the world's largest marathon on the weekend.
Mahkamah Agung telah memberikan pertimbangan hukum atas permohonan grasi Antasari Ashar kepada Presiden Jokowi. MA menyerahkan kepada Presiden untuk memutuskan apakah Antasari layak memberikan atau diberikan grasi atau tidak. Juru bicara Mahkamah Agung Suhadi mengatakan MA menerima permohonan grasi yang diajukan oleh Antasari Ashar, terpidana 18 tahun penjara kasus pembunuhan Direktur Raja Wali Putra Banjaran Nasaruddin Zulkarnain. Suhadi memastikan MA sudah mengirimkan pertimbangan grasi Antasari kepada Presiden Jokowi melalui Sekretaris Negara 19 Oktober lalu. Menurut Suhadi, Presiden Jokowi akan memutuskan permohonan grasi Antasari berdasarkan pertimbangan hukum yang diberikan oleh MA. Suhadi menegaskan grasi tidak terpengaruh dengan pembebasan bersyarat yang diterima Antasari.
Enggak, beda. Kalau itu nanti kan masalah hukuman. Kalau beliau jangan digedok, Pak. Beliau itu kalau misalnya lepas demi hukum itu ya tidak ada lagi hubungan dengan grasi kan gitu. Nanti hasilnya grasi apa sih biasanya? Grasi bisa kurang hukumannya, ya kan? bisa ditolak, ya kan? Nah, bisa apa namanya kalau berapa pengurangannya itu ditentukan di dalam putusan presiden.